All rise and we'll open the meeting with a pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just a friendly reminder, we're on our high-tech link to Panda TV, so we need to have a mic near our mouths when we speak. That'd be for the audience too. The board, just a reminder to you too, if you could approach the desk mics when you're ready to go. But I'll walk this one over to the podium, or Zev, do you want to come take this from me? We'll leave it on. Welcome, everybody. Another meeting. Looks like we're wrapping up the 2016 calendar year. It's our regular village board meeting, and tonight's 12/12/2016, so some numerology there of some sort, but 12/12/16. We've done the pledge. We have the minutes in front of everybody. I've had a chance to go through them, and they've been circulated. Are there any additions, alterations, or corrections suggested? Just to refresh you all, we had the November 14th regular meeting and then the November 17th workshop meeting. Hearing none, is there a motion to accept the minutes as presented by the clerks?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. We do have some special guests here. I don't know if they'll be that special. I think it'll be a routine appearance at our monthly meetings, but special still. Do you folks need to catch a shuttle bus where we need to get you into in the beginning of the program? Okay. I see heads shaking just so the camera. Okay. If the board so please, I think we'll let them do that. And what we do, we have Zev Fogelman and Harper Zaharias here. We met with them Friday, just 4 or 5 days ago, whatever. And they just want to give us an update on, they represent the student body at Bard, and if you both, just remember, both of you, when you talk, you can go to the podium, but you do need to speak into that mic so we can hear you at the camera. I guess I don't need to tell Zev that he filmed a movie here not too long ago, and he also filmed our Red Hook Halloween, which I guess is still in the editing phases.
Yep, you'll be receiving that very shortly.
Okay. You're on, guys.
Great. Thank you so much for having us. Really appreciate it. So I'm Zev Fogelman. I'm a senior at Bard College and a film production major.
I'm Harper Zaharias. I am a sophomore at Bard College, political studies major, and I am secretary of press for the student government.
And I'm involved in the communications committee, which basically we created last year, and it's kind of helped to bridge communication between the village of Red Hook and members of the community and members at Bard. So, you know, in the future, it might look like having events going on in the village of Red Hook that both the community members and Bard students can go to and enjoy. And it's really been a pleasure working with both the mayor and also the deputy mayor and attending meetings, and especially as a student myself, it's such a unique opportunity to really be involved in that at the local college as well. So it's very special. So I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, I'm very excited to be working with Village of Red Hook in the future through student government, given that I have a couple more years at Bard, and hope to see through the plans that Zev has started to lay the groundwork for.
Great. So yeah, we'll continue to work with the mayor and deputy mayor as well as others, and we look forward to coming back at the next meeting and giving updates as well. So thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
I guess the question for me is Bard on break yet, or when do you guys, a week from now, okay. Because what we try to do is watch our street pedestrian traffic, and we can tell when Bard's not around, but I'm quite sure yet. Okay. So you guys want to depart? We will let you leave if you like. Okay, thanks.
Bye.
Take care, guys.
Let's see. We can get to some financial matters. Looks like Clerk Shirella, are you ready to give your treasurer's report? Cindy's been sick, for 2 weeks? Sounds like some coughing going on, but,
For record.
okay.
Account balances, general fund, $527,791.23. Water fund, $86,738.27. Trust and agency, $19,213.37. Materials management, $9,077.63. Petty cash, $32.20. Village Green, $4,136.88. Hard Scrabble, $6,141.14. Health insurance, $7,994.86. And monthly expenses, the general fund, $207,580.38. Water fund, $70,172.38. Trust and agency, $19,213.37. And materials management, $3,439.83. And again, general fund expenses are high. We paid the retirement. That's why that number is so high.
Okay, when Cindy says retirement, there's, that's for the full-time employees and part-timers who choose to be in the system. We pay a percentage of their wage to the retirement fund. It's a state-managed fund. And between the two numbers, it totals about $100,000 a year that we put into that. So that 207, about 100 is that committed to that. Okay.
I'll be billing water again this month, another quarter.
Good. Any questions from the board? Is there a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You. And it looks like I can go next. As far as, we have the police data in front of us, the police report, and we have for the month of November, a total of 393 incidents. It breaks out 274 in the village, 112 in the town, and 7 in the village of Tivoli. That resulted in 131 traffic tickets. It breaks out 75 in the village of Red Hook, including 6 parking tickets, and 56 in the town of Red Hook. On a more serious level, it resulted in 19 arrests, 13 of which were in the village, and 6 were in the town of Red Hook. And you have the pages attached. And I guess that's that. Just switching back to Cindy's report, today being December 12th, we're not quite halfway through the month of December. It looks like her report takes us to the 12th of December, so let's call it halfway through. If one does the math, that's 55% of the year. So what I was doing was going through the budget, looking at what's in line and what's not in line, but quite frankly, most things are looking in line. We know water's heavy in general, but that has a continuing cash flow, whereas the general fund lives off pretty much the tax levy. But if you want to go through that, it's a good exercise, especially in January, February, we start preparing for next year's budget. But anyway, looks like next we have Mr. Trustee Trapp. You want to talk about planning and zoning world?
Sure.
Hey, Ed,
Yes.
back on the police report.
Okay.
I know last meeting, Patrick had said that he also includes parking, but I don't see any notes that they did any walks.
Would that be
Well-
included in foot patrol or no?
I'm not sure what you mean. I do
Foot
see,
patrols,
page 3, Steve, go there.
okay, there's
There's
3.
parking complaint.
Okay, they did,
Uh,
okay, my error.
No, and it looks like it's,
I didn't
if you see
it.
3 goes to 4 there.
Yeah, my error.
Okay, no problem. Okay, you good? You over there? Let's see, Mr. Trapp, you ready to
Yes,
go?
sir. Nice pop there on
Yeah,
the
right.
B. How
I
about that?
gotta learn the rules of the road here.
Okay, at the last official meeting, we discussed briefly reviewing the building department fees. I began that process. I had the current fee schedule emailed to me, and I was kind of surprised. I mean, I thought it had been a while since we had done it, but this was June 7, 2010, when these were last revisited, so I think it's time for us to take a peek.
I had one that said 2012. I think I sent it.
There was a little confusion, but that was, we were considering a revision in 2012,
Didn't-
Right.
but didn't act. The economy was still not quite perked.
Right,
And,
so it has been like 6 years then since we have. And I started a spreadsheet and have not concluded anything, but I've begun working on it, and there's some that I haven't quite fleshed out all of the possible changes. So if you would, just take a look at it, and, you know, so that at our next workshop, we might be able to spend a little more time, like, going through these things to see what your thoughts are on some of this stuff.
Sure.
But Dutchess County Planning Federation, we have concluded our official classes, but we have, in the past, when classes come up that we think might be appropriate, which are not necessarily sponsored by us, we advertise them, and I think they were circulated around to Lara. And Brent, I think you had attended some of them before, and we were talking prior to the meeting about this one, that you might be heading down to that one. I don't actually have the information on that at this point. If you know something, that would be,
Yeah, last Wednesday was a program put on by Pace University Land Use Law Center, and just talking about the roles of the zoning board and planning board and the enforcement officers' duties, and also the legislative board's duties in zoning and planning issues. And Wednesday, there's another seminar that'll be presented by John Nolan, who is the, I don't know what his role is anymore in the Land Use Law Center. He was the founder of it, and on economic development when it comes to land use issues. So I'll be attending with that. The last one I went down with Bill O'Neill and Harry Colgan from the town board. We had gone through a series of courses prior to that. I think Jay was privy to that back in 2007. So this was kind of a reunion tour, but also a refresher course on land use issues. So it was very good. And free dinner, too.
free dinner's always good.
Very good. The whole thing was free, actually, but.
So we are, we continue to advertise those, even though they're not sponsored by our Planning Federation Board of Directors, and we will continue to do so. And November, in the Planning and Zoning Report, there were 2 building permits issued, 1 certificate of occupancy issued, 6 certificates of compliance, and 4 municipal searches were conducted. No orders to remedy, no stop work orders, and no court appearances. Fire inspections were conducted, and if you would like to look, it's contained on the supplemental pages to this report. The Planning Board had no agenda in November. The ZBA had a public hearing for variance application for 56 West Market Street, and all 4 variances were granted. And the money tendered by the Building, Planning, Zoning Department in the month of December was $600 even. And I think that's enough for me. Unless you have some questions, I'll be happy to answer.
That's good, thank you. So we can interpret your spreadsheet, you have a column, existing fee, then you're proposing a new fee. What does, on the residential construction line, 0.35 cents per square foot, is that what that's?
That's
So,
at this point, the way that it works in the village is it's a $75 fee for the first 100 square feet of construction, and $25 for each additional. You know, there are 2 modes of thought. One that way, 1 per square foot. I think it's probably, I find, I work for a couple of municipalities as a building inspector, and I find the per square foot cost a little more effective and a little easier to deal with. So my proposal is to try and transition into that. If we, you know, if we agree with it. If not, we'll review it as it is, but my sense is to go with the percent square foot.
then if we had just something down the bottom of the page 1, fire inspections, our current one is $50 for less than 1,000 square feet, 100 for greater than, and you say proposed just $100 flat.
And what I had done is I downloaded the fee schedules for as many municipalities as I could find, and I probably have 6 or 7 municipalities, the town, Milan, I have Germantown, I have Livingston, I have Hyde Park, and I have some municipalities a little farther away from us, north and south. And an average fee for most of the fire inspections is between $100 and $150. And so I just put that as a discussion point so that we can begin.
Okay.
You know, if we can talk to Robert to find out if, you know, from his experience and from our other employees up there, how long typically it takes to do the inspection and generate the report and make sure that we're covering ourselves. I mean, my intent here is to work toward making the building department sort of financially self-sufficient so that it actually doesn't cost the people that are not using it, and is set up kind of as a user fee which pays for the entire department. I'd like to, I mean, I think I told you that in Livingston where I work, larger municipality, granted, okay, but we ended up the year last month when we did our total, and we were around 38 grand for the building department, which more than covered the admin and my, you know, fee and ink and paper and printers and a new computer and things like that. So I would like to, I mean, you can't do it all in one fell swoop, but I would like to move a little farther toward being more sufficient financially there.
Good, I would agree. Okay, thank you, Jay.
Yep.
Another question, on a couple of places, solar energy collection and your planning board special permit, you have an asterisk.
Yes. Essentially, I put that to sort of take you over to the remarks. Many municipalities, when they do the roof mounted, it's just a matter of going to get a building permit because it's on the roof, it doesn't encroach on any setbacks, it's not going to disturb your neighbors potentially, they're not reflective, so it's not gonna reflect into something. If they reflect, then you lose the solar energy, so they tend to just absorb everything. Now, as opposed to the ground mounted, which tend to be maybe 20 by 20, they require foundation, they require trenching, they may require removal of trees to get enough light. So those sort of things typically in every municipality that I've seen, ground mounted go to the planning board for review so that they can understand the impacts of putting them on the ground, so.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right. Why don't we jump to Ms. Norris? Would you like to go? And I have a little video display there on the wall.
Yes, thank you,
You're
because I have that listed, and
I saw
so
that.
if you look over there, we have Red Hook Recycling. We do this every year in January. Our hope is that people get electronics for the holidays and need to recycle their old ones. So this will be Saturday, January 14th from 9 to 1 at the town recycle yard. We do this in conjunction with the town and with the help of a lot of volunteers from the Bard Center for Civic Engagement. Can you scroll up for the list of all the stuff that can be recycled?
Okay.
We have televisions, monitors, computers, keyboards, cables, power cords, telephones, fax machines, scanners, printers, cell phones, VCR, DVR, DVD players, portable digital music players, digital converter boxes, cable or satellite receivers, and electronic or video game consoles. We're now getting to the point that we do unfortunately need to charge for the bigger TVs that are the big box TVs. There's a $20 fee for those. If you have a very large item or you're unable to drop it off, we do have limited home pickup service by appointment. If you're a village resident, you can call 758-1081. Town resident, 758-4606. And again, that will be January 14th. At the recycling center. It always seems to be the coldest day of the year. So that's also Martin Luther King weekend. Okay.
And that lovely artwork too by Mr. Dan Baxter.
I love Dan Baxter's stuff. I really do. So, yeah.
Yeah, Dan's a village resident, and each year I ask him, Dan, can we use your artwork again? And he says yes.
So we have that. Just back into the general world of materials management for the month of November, we sold $2,407.50 in garbage tags and paid out $1,061.60. We had, typo there, 0.08 tons of garbage and 6.16 tons of single stream recycling. And we're kind of wrapping up on events. We had Winterfest this past Sunday, December 4th, which was the same day as the Elmendorf's Old Dutch Christmas. Special thanks to Kathy Treble for arts and crafts, Mr. Anderson for the hay rides, and Beth Ansbach and family for leading the carols. She came in last minute and did a great job leading the carols. Coming up, we have we don't, but the Elmendorf has soup night Saturdays, January 28th, and chili night Saturday, February 25th. Ed and I have been talking about possible stuff in the dead of winter. I
Right.
think, what'd you call it, stir crazy night or something?
Cabin fever night.
Cabin fever night. So we're working on that, and we'll see what the winter holds. That's all I got.
Good, thank you. Why don't we hear about some water and some facilities? Mrs. Archuk, you ready?
Report for November 2016. During the month of November, the water treatment plant treated 7,757,000 gallons of water, and an average daily rate of 258,000 gallons per day. In November of 2015, the plant treated 7,314,000 gallons, and an average rate of 243,000 gallons per day. During the month of November, the plant used 60 gallons of sodium hypochlorite solution at an average rate of 2 gallons per day. 3 samples were sent to the Smith Environmental Laboratory in Hyde Park for bacteriological testing. All 3 returned a negative result. Conservation tip: to avoid burst pipes, make sure all of your exterior hose, bips, and yard hydrants have been turned off for the season, and that all pipes are in heated spaces as we head into the colder months of winter. Burst pipes result in very large and costly water bills, as they usually go unnoticed until the leak is seen from the living areas of the home. And operator's note: if your water service has frozen in the years past, laying straw on the ground above the line between the curb valve where the pipe enters the house and a thick, fluffy windrow can keep the line from freezing. While straw on the front lawn is a bit unsightly, it's a world better than going through an entire winter without water. Every year we see a few customers lose water for months on end as their service lines are too shallow for the harsh winter freeze. In the winter of 2014, we saw a frost depth of 42 inches in Red Hook.
Maybe we got a poor Richard's Almanac out of there, right? Little folk wisdom and
Yeah. But the operator's note is a good one
very good.
to protect your water line.
It might be a little scary. I mean, we did have some in that really cold winter of 2014, but it was our pipes are supposed to be built to code, meaning when the house is built, you're supposed to be a certain depth with your service line. So most of the houses are already built in a village, like you know. So this advice is good, but it really happened when we were in like super cold. It wasn't this type of cold, 20s and 30s. It was like 0 and below. The frost got deeper into the ground and got to some of those pipes. And we do try to help. We do try to hook on some electric leads and different things to help melt it through electric current. But in some cases, it did not work. So then we resort to the hose bib to hose bib from neighbor to neighbor method. But as you can imagine, if your pipe underground froze, the hose above ground isn't a great alternative. So you have to drain it at sunset and rehook it every morning. But it's but if you do have no water, call us and we'll track it down and see what's going on. Thank you, Steve. As far as on facility side, anything brewing?
The clerk sent me a contract, I believe, and I neglect on the fire alarm system,
Okay,
and I neglected to print it out for tonight.
okay. Then just a different thought. I'm going to be meeting Wednesday on apparently Time Warner, as we know, is now merged with Charter, which is now called Spectrum. So they are revisiting the franchise agreements with the munis. We do currently get the 5% maximum franchise fee, but there might be where we can get a clause inserted that they would absorb our Time Warner costs, meaning the village municipal cost. And I know when we converted to the new data system, I'm gonna put that on the table. I'm just thinking, what do we bring in? We come in on the phone lines with Frontier, right, our true
No,
voice phone? Did it all go
no,
to?
we, everything is right in Time Warner now.
Okay,
Or
so-
Spectrum.
Okay, so, all right, so if we were to, every monthly phone bill and every monthly internet type
Right.
bill would be,
We get, the primary radio interface of the PRI is from Spectrum, and that's just a little over $600 a month. That's carries all of our voice traffic. Then we have a separate internet access, and then we have the fax lines are over on Frontier at this time.
so it'd be 600 plus the internet cost plus the fax line?
Well,
cost,
they
or-
wouldn't cover the fax. Fax are still through Frontier.
Oh, yeah, so scratch fax. And,
You know, I'm almost thinking in the very near future, we don't even need faxes anymore.
Well, I agree with you, but there's always people that still use faxes.
They take up a lot of room, too.
They do, but if you ever want to talk about it.
all
I
right,
mean,
so,
we do 4 fax machines, and that's a pretty penny every month.
And our fax machine is just a fax machine, that's not the printer, like when you print something, it goes to the copier?
Yes, but we scan most everything now.
Right.
Now, I don't know about the court system, if they
What
use
do-
their fax a lot.
I don't know.
What we need to do is we really need to poll all 4 areas, see how much it's really used.
Yeah, because if we had like one fax for the building, you know, there's one time you need to fax, you can, you know, I would think as opposed to that giant thing on the.
yeah. All right, so the logo is, we have PRI, and we, because
Our internet access.
I'm gonna push, yeah, we'll see if we can get, if we get that dropped to 0, that'd be sweet.
Sweet.
All right. Let's see. We've got Steve, we've got Jen, we've got Jay. Looks like we're ready for Mr. Kowalczyk. You ready?
I am, thank you. Village Green, monthly report, the current balances of the Village Green Committee's related budget accounts are as follows. Community beautification, there's a misprint there, should be $2,704.73. Shade Tree contractual, $8,300, and the Village Green checking account is $4,136.88. And there were no Village Green meetings held during the month of November. The Village of Red Hook Highway Department monthly report, the Village of Red Hook is actually done with picking up autumn leaves. Well, they're still picking them up if weather permits. The days like today, obviously, they weren't picking them up, but the last scheduled day for brush and leaf pickup is Friday, December 16th, but for all accounts, they're pretty much done with brush and leaves for the year.
Maybe if I could just help you there.
Yeah.
I know they worked overtime Saturday and a little bit Sunday
Yep.
to get it done,
Before
because they
the
knew the
snow.
storm was coming, so probably be cleanest and most fair. I think they're done.
All right. This was the date that was published in the papers. The village's snow ordinance is currently in effect from November 1st through March 31st. No parking is permitted on village streets from 11 p.m. to 6 o'clock a.m. and on New York State highways, which would be Market Street and Broadway, from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. during the same period. When snow or ice removal operations are underway, any vehicle parked or abandoned on any street may be removed by or under the direction of Red Hook, or the Red Hook Police Department, or any responding law enforcement agencies. Costs associated with vehicle towing and storage will be charged to the vehicle's owners. The owner and/or occupant of every building or lot in the village with an adjoining sidewalk shall remove snow and ice within a 24-hour period of a snowstorm. And at the direction of the Village Board of Trustees, the Village Highway Department will remove snow and ice left uncleared at a cost of $2 per linear foot. and this cost will be assessed and collected with the next tax levy. Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development notified the municipalities, it's basically the northern Dutchess municipalities, including the town of Northeast, town of Milan, town of Rhinebeck, town of Red Hook, town of Pine Plains, village of Millerton, village of Rhinebeck, village of Tivoli, and the village of Red Hook, that 2016 municipal consolidation and shared services grant requests were not awarded for shared highway equipment, which included a skid steer and trailer, self-contained sweeper truck, crack sealing machine, and a jet back truck. So 4 pieces of equipment to be shared by as many as 6 municipalities. None of those grants were awarded. In addition, Panda, which also applied for a municipal consolidation shared services grant for the expansion and delivery of shared services for all 5 of the municipalities covered by Panda, was also not awarded the grant. The Village of Red Hook did receive a letter on December 2nd from Annandale Construction, strongly recommending that our concrete subcontractors for new sidewalks, or sidewalk repair, strongly recommending that residents and businesses who have had recent repairs to sidewalks due to water repairs, that salt and/or calcium products not be used for de-icing. If used, these products can cause significant deterioration of the concrete, and that the responsibility for avoiding this damage remains that of the property owner or their representatives. This recommendation is also applicable to residents in the southwest quadrant of the village who received sidewalk improvements during Phase 2 of the village's water system improvement project. So concrete's still curing, very susceptible to salt and calcium products, and if you can wait until next winter to do that, if possible, that would preserve the lifespan of your sidewalk. There were no scaled scrap metals during the month of November. Total revenue generated for this fiscal year is $1,366.45. Since inception of the program in September of 2007, $20,614.37 has been generated. And any resident or business interested in donating scrap metal can contact the Highway Department at 758-8600 or the village clerk's office. And Highway Department personnel will assist property owners by picking up scrap metal. And the revenue for this goes to purchase tools and equipment for the village highway, water, and material management's department. On the Intermunicipal Task Force and Red Hook Infrastructure Monthly Report, the Red Hook Sewer Project meetings were held on November 4th, 9th, 16th, and 18th in the Red Hook Village Building. We completed the USDA Rural Development Funding application for re-underwriting considerations. We submitted 24 different applications, forms, affidavits, a lot of stuff. So, I did mention them all in the report if anyone's interested in seeing what we actually do. It took quite some time to fill out, but we're hoping for a better underwriting of the grant. The loans currently are the lowest they've ever been. I believe right now, up until on this quarter, they're at a rate of 1.875%, and I guess the goal is try to get more grant money associated with the loan as well. The Red Hook Economic Development Committee hosted a stakeholders meeting. This is part of the sewer to inform the Red Hook Village, some of the Red Hook Village commercial property owners of the Red Hook Sewer Project. I'll mention more of that in the EDC monthly report. The Red Hook Village Water Project Phase 2 meetings were held on November 4th, 11th, 16th, and 18th in the Red Hook Village Building. We reviewed the status of the prime electrical contractor's work. We responded to USDA memos regarding the 2016 AUD, primarily the short-lived assets. We discussed renewing the ban before the January 8th, 2017 expiration date. We also responded to a USDA rural development memo regarding the New York State EFC short-term financing drawdowns. And we had a Phase 2 construction meeting on November 16th in the Red Hook Village Building. Representatives from the USDA, CT Mail, the Village of Red Hook were there, and basically went over status of the electrical contractor, the AUD, principal and interest payments, and looked at the Water Reserve Fund and reviewed and coordinated the New York State EFC drawdowns. On the task force side, I'm a member of that. Task force met on November 4th and 18th in the Red Hook Town Hall. The following items were discussed. We're currently looking at a proposed Hamlet Business District for Upper Red Hook. We reviewed the uses and bulk regs and district maps. We looked at the Water Conservation District for current permitted, special permitted uses and for possible additional uses in consistency with the town's many comprehensive plans and open space plans, and discussed the status of St. Margaret's, Montgomery Place, the Red Church in Tivoli, and the Unification Theological Seminary with town historian Wint Aldrich. And we reviewed and finalized the proposed Town of Red Hook zoning ordinance for solar photovoltaic systems. The village may want to look at that ordinance too. It does kind of piggyback on what Jay was saying about where these things could be located, what is permitted as far as rooftop and ground-mounted systems. So it's a pretty good, and also for historic structures, how those are applied to historic structures. The Red Hook Economic Development Committee monthly report, both Ed and I are village liaisons on that. Again, the EDC hosted a stakeholders meeting for the proposed Red Hook Sewer project on November 9th. In the Red Hook Village building, we had quite a number of business property owners in attendance. Presentations were given by Julie Barone from Orenco, Robert Flores, and myself. And then we held a discussion regarding the proposed sewer district and sewer project. A lot of Q&A, and I think it was very informative for those who attended. We're planning on going out, reaching out to as many of the people in the proposed service area, and those will be coming up next year. The EDC also met on November 30th in the Red Hook Village building, and we discussed the proposed Red Hook Sewer project, recommendations for new EDC members, and marketing promotion of the Red Hook businesses with EDC educational marketing, business operation tips, and ideas in the High Notes newsletter. The Town of Red Hook Zoning Review Committee, which I'm a member of, the ZRC subcommittee meeting was held on November 10th in the Red Hook Town Hall. We reviewed and revised draft zoning amendments for food trucks. This is for the Town of Red Hook. The Community Preservation Fund Advisory Board, which I'm a member of, met on November 28th at the Town Hall. We reviewed and revised draft maps of the CPF target areas as outlined and to be included in the Community Preservation Plan update of June 9th, 2016. And these maps, there's 8 of them. That included all parcels, agricultural lands and water protection areas, ecological significant areas, scenic features, trails and gateways, historic values, unique village or village enhancing areas, significant biodiversity areas, and Hudson Riverfront lands. There are properties, quite a few properties in the village of Red Hook that are included on this plan. So these maps are trying to make it a little bit easier for people to see what if their property pertains to any of the categories of the CPF. The current balance of the Community Preservation Fund as of November 30th is $692,365.37. The Sawkill Watershed Community, which I'm a member of as well, met on November 1st in the Red Hook Town Hall. There were presentations by Aaron Somerville of the Dutchess County Soil and Water Conservation District on the Sawkill Watershed Culvert Inventory Project. There was a presentation by Megan Lung from the New York State DEC on connecting the streams, aquatic connectivity, and culvert prioritization program. and also project updates, including an update on the Astrakhan State Universities, which is in Russia, Eco Squad, and the Saltkill Watershed Community Exchange. Red Hook Together met on November 10th. Both Ed and I are members of that. We just heard from representatives from Historic Red Hook, the Village of Tivoli, Village of Red Hook, and Bard College on their upcoming events and collaborative projects. And that's it for me.
Okay, thank you. On your report on the CPF advisory, where you have the bullets with
Yep. Those are
six-
maps. that
6
are
or
being-
7, could you explain a little bit more, revised draft maps of CPF target areas? And one says unique village or village enhancing areas. Is that,
Mhm. Be parks and
Pardon me?
cultural resources, parks, cultural
Yeah.
resources. And there's, within those categories, there's also wetlands that have been presented, which includes areas by Reddick Estates and behind Reddick Commons, down by Bennett Road. There's some up by Tower Road, and the pond, of course, behind the library. Village enhancing areas such as the parks, Abraham's Park, Memorial Park. They've been all put on there, so there's, like I said, quite a few properties. And we also have some properties with the trails that are in there, biodiversity areas that we have. So it's an extensive list. Each property that we reviewed is presented on there, and it's a very thick tome, and I believe it's online. But we should get a hard copy here in the village as well.
do you have any prognosis when you say revised draft maps? When
Yeah,
do they go
we
re-
had, Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development prepared some maps for the CPF Advisory Board, and so we reviewed those. There were some errors that we found, and so we resubmitted for revisions from the Department of Planning and Development, and they'll soon be revised to our specs and adopted by the town of Red Hook.
I guess, from a selfish perspective, we're all elected to represent our village and the fiduciary interest of our people. There's about 700 grand sitting there in that CPF, which is not managed by us.
We are
Will you
eligible
keep pushing so we can somehow?
we are eligible for all that money if we present projects, but it's not for us to present them. It's up to the private property owner.
So the map has to be finalized, and then
The project plan has been adopted, and these will be amended to the project plan.
could you say it again? I didn't follow that.
The project plan, which lists all the properties, who's eligible, for what they're eligible for, are already adopted by the town board. And this was updated. The enabling legislation requires the town to update this plan every 5 years. This was the 5th year since original adoption. The maps are to be included in the project plan, and they will be included as an amendment to the project plan. And they're a visual tool for people to look at the maps quickly and see if their property pertains to any of the specific categories that are mentioned in the CPF project plan. And then if you look in the plan, you'll see your property listed and what it is listed for. So there's money available. Usually it is for fee simple acquisition or purchase of development rights. It's for preservation and not for restoration. So again, all that, the purpose of the CPF is found in the CPF project plan.
So let's take, for example, if one considers the brick wall on West Market a unique village item, it's owned by 4 or 5 private folks.
Right.
They would have to get together, or somebody would have to
Yes.
lead the charge and sell that to some entity, and
It's either
CPF.
to the town, they could purchase it.
So they would use CPF money to purchase it, and
Yep.
then,
And through that, then it'll be in a public realm, and grants would be usually easier to find from a municipality as opposed to a private individual for restoration. So the CPF cannot be used for restoration projects, just for preservation, to preserve it, to keep it from being torn down
Sounds like semantics to me, but
It's really not. It's, if you look at the
If I preserve-
enabling legislation, we debated this a long time. The enabling legislation is very clear on what the money can be used for.
but if, it's more of a funny question. If we restored the wall, we'd be preserving it. It seems like you're doing both at the same time.
Yeah, you can preserve it, but you're not restoring it. So I know it's semantics,
Yeah,
but
but-
maybe look up the definitions
I'm-
in a dictionary. You'll
I'm
see
just
the
thinking,
difference.
I know you will represent us there, and you know, whatever
No,
we,
I have been since the
whatever we get out of
beginning.
them. Be
So
good.
there is a big difference.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Brent.
You're welcome.
It looks like we could go to regular business. We had Bard College, we heard from them, they have departed. Election details, I was just reminding everybody, and Cindy's gonna present more, I think there's some formal resolution we have to do in January. But there are 2 trustee seats up for terms of 4 years, and the election is what, March 2/1 this year, Cindy, does that sound like? Do you have your-
It is, and people can start to sign independent nominating petitions on January 3rd, and they're available on the website, Board of Elections, and they can be submitted to me between February 7th and 9th. And they have to get 56 signatures.
All right.
And yes, in January, I'll submit resolutions for the elections.
I think in the past, we've held the election here from 12 to noon, it seemed to work, I
Did you
think.
get my email last Friday on the elections?
I think so.
Paper ballot? Okay.
Oh, yeah, I
Sent
saw
to you and
something,
Rich.
yeah, yeah.
We're gonna do paper ballots. And save about $7,000 to $8,000.
Looks like in January, we'll have some actual resolutions to pass, just to finalize a few things, but it's a precursor, just for the board too. I think it works here, I don't have any problem with it being held here, and I don't know if it's, instead of getting the firehouse or somewhere off-site, it seems like get somewhere here. And then, all right, good. We'll work more on it in January. And then, budget perspectives, I was doing some research Friday and over the weekend, and I circulated something to all of you just in a generic statement, but I was talking to conference of mayors on a few things Friday, and I asked them what the projected tax cap is for the villages that have fiscal years, June 1 to May 31, which is us. And I don't know if one could call it good news, that we're going from the 0.12, which is 0.12%, to a 0.93%. And when one does our math, that's about, what did I say in my email, like about $10,900 or something. So it's better than 0.11, but it's not 2%, and it's still a cap. But I thought soon we'll start doing our January, February early budget sessions, and then we get more serious to hit the deadlines we need to hit in March through May. But I just want everybody to have that as an operating premise. And if you do look through, Cindy, the treasurer's budget report, you'll see where revenue is exceeding some projections, and you'll see where, just what's what, and it helps us do our next year budget setting. The other thing too, folks, board and audience, is that, remember other years we had I think it was called the GEP, we had to do this incredible amount of detail work to show how we're gonna get some efficiencies and save some money. And then if we stayed under the cap, we got our folks to play in the tax-free credit rebates. And folks that qualified have been getting the rebates. But this coming year, the only munis that have to participate in staying under the tax cap in order for freeze credits to rebates to be issued are the school districts, which makes some sense because they tend to be the bigger aspect, biggest component of a local taxpayer's bill. But before it was the school district, the county, the town, us, and we all had a standard cap for everybody to get a full rebate, tax-free rebate. So that part comes out. The cap still applies. It'll probably be in that 0.93% area. And again, think of your project, because soon we do ask each trustee and the areas they supervise to give their submissions and thoughts for what budget needs they'll have in the next fiscal year. Reddick Fire Department contract talks. Some positive news, I got an email from the fire company in relation to two of our workshop sessions where they have given me a breakdown of calls and so forth. I'm going to forward that off to you guys tomorrow morning. It's raw data. I think we could look at it. I'll get a team. We could look at it in our workshop and see what's up. But I do know, I think tomorrow night, the town of Red Hook is finalizing their contract with the FD. And it looks like we'll know what that final number is after tomorrow too, and the percent they're going up on what they're giving them, so.
Have you been talking to the town at all about?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'll let them move forward and do their final formal version, and then we'll know what that is, and so will the fire company. So we do have a workshop this week. We don't know how it happened, but it seems like the past 3 months, we do a Monday and a Thursday the same week, but we'll do it anyway. So I think we can talk about those numbers, and I'll circulate that off to you guys. I traveled to Poughkeepsie with our engineers this past week on that FAST grant. That's the acronym. Couldn't tell you what it exactly stands for, but it's where we converted that CDBG, the block grant, for the flashing lights at the pedestrian crosswalks and some ramp access upgrades. Remember, we didn't get it from CDBG, and the state offered us some money, and we took it as far as we were awarded the money. But some of my worst fears were true. It's federal money, and there's really a lot of paperwork and activity needed just to get things going. Part of it is what we'll have to do is, like we do with the CD, with the block grant, we should be able to show the state public involvement. So next month, January, it's not required that it be a public hearing, but they just want something to show that the public's aware and what we're doing. So I thought we would set a public hearing, folks, for the January meeting. I don't have the date in front of me. Cindy, do you have a calendar right there? As usual, we'll probably set it for 7. But for the audience, it's
January 9th, we meet.
yeah, okay. So it looks like January 9th. I'll make it a motion in a minute, but what we would do is, our regular attendees have heard this before. It's the same project, just with different funding entity. But we do need to show them that we've put it out there. And then we also have to do RFQs and different things. So our consultant costs, as they call it, will be covered. So it's a lot of paperwork like that.
And these are for the mid-block, push-button activated crosswalk signaling devices.
Yeah, where we have the pedestrian, yield to pedestrians that nobody yields to. We're trying to make that happen. The funny part is, when I was with the state folks, it was myself, an engineer from the state, and 2 state employees, and our engineer. And they had a nice Gantt chart with calendar options and probably 4 pages of scheduling. And I said, I thought we'd have this done by late spring, summer 2017. They're like, oh no, you won't have this probably till 2019. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, it was,
No.
it's all we're doing is trying to light up, we're in the right of way. There's all different things that are already known, but we have to show them all that again. And
Doesn't
But,
make any difference to them.
yeah, it's like, so it was like, oh my, I'm glad we got the money, but then I was like, oh my goodness. Yeah,
And this is an 80-20 too, right?
Yeah.
80% federally funded, 20% local match.
correct. It's, so they're giving us 88,000, so we have to, I think the math takes it up to 110 or 120 is the next 20%. But what we can use, if we so choose, is we can allocate CHIPS funding for our share. If we choose, I see Brent scrunching over there. He might not want to do that, but we can, there might be a hybrid, and we can twist Mr. Kovacek's arm a little bit. But anyway, that's the update. The good news is, it's money we can get, but it's going to be a project, a paper chase to get it. But anyway, on the formal side of it, I would make a motion that the village board have a public hearing set for January 9, 2017 at 7 p.m. to discuss the details of the FAST grant and pick up some public involvement. Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. So we did those 5 things, it looks like. General business, if I could go first, also while I was in Poughkeepsie, we swung by Dutchess Water Wastewater Authority and met with Bridget Barkley. This is in regard to the sale of water to the authority for the Hoffman Farms development down there. What we have as a template, we were fleshing out, the board has agreed to the sale of water and the rate, and now we're working out the nitty-gritty of maintenance and details and billing and so forth. It's moving well, and I think the part B of it is that we convinced the developer to help us with a loop to connect out to Route 9, if you recall, and then cross Route 9 to the hardscrabble area down there. And some private owners down there are willing to front those costs. We're looking to make a loop without cost to the village that'll improve our system and so forth. But that second part of it requires the property owners down there, separate from the Hoffman developers, to chip in both financially, but also to create a zone of assessment or something so we can theoretically and formally have the ability to sell them water. So it's, right now they're working on that with themselves, with the authority. We're not really in the mix on that. But anyway, so the template should be firming up, and then when it gets closer, we can tool through it and see, we can all look at it and see what makes sense and what doesn't. But it looks more operational than anything. And they were cooperative. Any other business from the board? I think we could go to public comment. Gentlemen, remember, we have to find the microphone if you're going to say anything. You good? You good? All right. I think it might be a short meeting then for the village board, huh? But, let me just look, make sure we hit everything.
Looks like you did.
What do you think, Brent?
We got to pay some bills. I know we circulated something here. Let me see. It got signed on that end.
Did not get signed in.
Not down
Yeah,
there.
okay. This is, it's a voucher to pay EFC on Phase 2 water for some interest and some costs there.
Just the one voucher?
Yes, there's 2 bills, 1 voucher.
All right. That being said, Mr. Kowalczyk, let's see, I guess I have to do one to pay the bills, so I'd move that we authorize payment of the bills after we audit them. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then, looks like Mr. Kay, you want to go?
I can make a motion that we adjourn this evening's meeting.
I don't know, 1 hour. I'm a little reluctant to second it here, but I don't know. I'll second it, I guess. All in favor?
Aye.
Nice.
Good night.